Now you only got 3 of us, which I know you're kind of getting used to because we haven't been interviewing many people. But let me tell you, we've got a fella here that you guys you listened to in the past, and I'm sure you've seen him all over Facebook, all over Twitter, all over the Instaverse, all over the whatever else you guys are watching. Mr. Kyle Charles, the Marvel artist himself, that has a new and very, very popular comic book out right now that just got released. And Kyle, what's the name of that comic book that people can run out right now and go buy?
That is Marvel Voices, Indigenous Voices, issue 1.
Marvel Voices, Indigenous Voices. And how the heck did you get on there?
Pure luck. I actually won a lottery. Yeah, I won a lottery. They pulled my name and my number, and they said, "Of course, draw a Marvel book." No,
my question is, what is your number?
What 666?
Remember the well, you know what? I think we need to address. Speaking of the number of the beast, I think we need to address the beast.
I think we need to.
Yeah, the beast in the room. Trish is on it here in the comment. She says, "Hey, Kayla, he is not feeling well, sleeping." So Gerald is down and out for the count. He's got the vid. I didn't mean to spread false information. He has something, and he's very tired.
Jesus Christ.
So he's down and out. And we wish him the best. Gerald Hafner is a freaking beauty. What an absolute beauty. He's a grin guy. So at any point today or this evening, do you guys feel like just having a little grin and just being like, yeah, that's Hafner's grin. Yeah, give him a grin. All right. D-Wayne, how the heck are you doing today, buddy?
I am doing fantastically like always.
Man, that is pretty damn good. Where do you get some of that? Because I think there's a few listeners here that would like to.
I have bottles of it on my shelves here, and I'm hanging on to it because I need it.
Yes,
so do you sell that by the liter, by the 500 mil? Like, what are you kind of selling that by?
I sell it by the tankerful.
Oh, the tankerful. Oh, right on.
Yep.
See, I've had a tankard, but I don't know if I've had a tanker full.
Yeah, you got to have a tanker full. I've been tankered full, but yeah, you can sell it by the tanker full.
Right on.
I want to welcome my son Kyle back to the show also. Welcome back, son. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Pops.
And yeah, it's a proud moment, let me tell you. It's a proud moment back then, and it's a even prouder moment now. So it's something. So with everything that was going on, Kyle, what was it like for you? Like what was all the media like for you?
Yeah, it was we were talking a little bit about this before the show started, but it was kind of odd, a little bit weird. Definitely, I'm not totally foreign to doing some media stuff. Like I've done stuff with Happy Harbor before in the past, but never something like that where it was like global CTV and CBC and then CTV again and this and that, and kind of 2 weeks of doing radio shows and whatnot. But I guess it's in a year that's been kind of shitty. It was a good story, I guess, that people wanted to hear about and they wanted to share it. So it was cool. By the end of it, I was kind of like, all right, like I don't, because me, Pops, I'm a private person. I don't like to get out there and fucking throw my shit out there to the public or whatever, unless it's like professional news or whatever. But yeah, by the end of it, I was glad it was done. But I was also glad that the response to it was huge. Like I was really shocked by how many people reached out and were like, "Hey, congrats!" Like people I don't know, and some people from the past that I've known. But I mean, like a lot of strangers reaching out from all over the country saying like, "Hey, we're proud of you," and it's a good Canadian story, and this and that, and a lot of the Indigenous community like reaching out as well, which was really awesome. So it was all worth it in the end, even though it was weird.
Yeah. So when you say that it did really well, so how did the book do? How did the cover and how has the book been selling?
Yeah. I know. Hey, I know in this format of the podcast, you gotta ask these questions as if you don't know them already. But I know you're the real news man.
Hey,
I love the professional. I know.
I don't want to hear it from me.
The professional approach. I admire it, Pops. I love you for it. Anyways, yeah. So, well, it sold very well. No, to be serious, it sold really well. We moved 3,000 copies of my variant cover, which is pretty unheard of. We did it inside a week and a half. So, you know, to give you some scope, like Happy Harbor's ordered, you know, personal, and to give you some background on this, variant covers are just like alternate covers from the original like copy, like, you know, the run of the comic book has a front cover. Yeah. You can get a variant cover from a high profile artist or maybe a local one, if depending on how many copies you order. So they tapped me to do that one, and they had to order large because I'm not known, you know what I mean? So they had to be like, you know, all right, well, if you want this guy to draw this cover, you got to order 12,000 copies or something like that, or no, 4,000. And so, yeah, it's like, you know, it was a huge number, and fortunately we sold out, you know, and it was actually really successful. And we did a couple signings, and I'd never done a signing where there's people waiting outside, let alone like 50 people waiting outside in the snow. Like, it was amazing. So yeah, like I was saying originally, to give you some scope, one of the top artists in the industry, oh goodness, Fiona, I can't remember her last name. It's Staples, Fiona Staples, amazing artist. She's super nice too. They had like 700 copies that they ordered for her book. And to this day, and that was like, I don't know how long ago, that was like for Archie's wedding or something like that. And they ordered 700, and they've been sitting on 200 still for like 6 or 7 years. So even like that, no, they couldn't sell out of her, you know, specific variant cover for Happy Harbor in like, you know, X amount of years, 7 years. And we did it in a week and a half. So it was like really special. Like, people showed up. People were really, really excited about this book. And, you know, that was obviously great because, like, you want to see your stuff sell, but also because, like, wow, you know, people are actually throwing a lot of support behind this. So it's a good turn. I went up to GP with Wonder Harbor there.
Yeah. Can't hear you there, Colton.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yeah.
Can hear you now.
Kyle, you were in Grand Prairie?
Yeah, I was in Grand Prairie. Like November.
What were you up to here, man?
Pardon me?
What were you up to here? You're signing all comics?
Yeah, so we went up on the 23rd, I think.
Oh, yeah. I was at home with the potential COVID cough thing.
Yeah, you know, and like I didn't plan on seeing anybody. I was maybe going to go throw some bowling balls there with Gerald, but I ended up having to do a commission for the night for the next morning before I left. I was there for
okay. That answers Trisha's question here. She said, "Hey, Kyle, we held a lane for you, and we didn't even see you."
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm aware. And yeah, obviously, like, you know, I wanted to go, but like I said just now, you know, I had a commission I had to get done before I left the next morning. So unfortunately,
How long were you up here in GP for?
One night.
One night. Where'd you stay?
I can't remember what the name of the hotel is, but I know it had like the Trumper Lounge there, the Trump.
Oh,
lounge.
The Trumpeter Motor Inn.
Yeah. So
before you said the name, I was going to say that's a fantastic marketing plug for the hotel mattresses, because it sounds like you were down and out as soon as you laid down. So
no, like I said, I had to do a commission for the next morning, so it was working at night.
What's a commission? Color me retarded. I'm not sure what a commission is.
Okay, so
I know what a commission is, like when you make a sale and you make a commission off of that.
Yeah, well, it's a sale. It's like somebody paid me to draw them a piece of art.
That's so cool. I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah, so like, you know, this dude, like, I know him from other Comic Cons, and super nice guy. And he's like, yeah, can I get another commission? So I was like, yeah, of course, you know. And limited time, had to do it as soon as I got back to the hotel, which is like, you know, did the signing till 7, went for dinner with the owner, and then went back to the hotel, and you know, did the commission, and then yeah, hit the hay and got up the next morning and split town. Obviously, I would have preferred to go through some bowling balls, and I love bowling, so that would have been the shit. But yeah, I just responsibilities, man.
I know that'll get you 9 times out of freaking 10, man. I tell you what. But I've got a few questions just to piggyback that comment. Number 1, what was your favorite part of GP? Like, have you been here very often, or was this your first trip?
I'm pretty sure that's my first time.
And where like you went to the Trumpeter? Went to the Trumpeter? Yeah, I guess you probably didn't have a very big brunch. There probably wasn't a brunch, was there?
No, like by the time we got there, it was like, fuck, I don't know,
a sandwich
at night or something like that. Yeah, like I think we checked in first. I can't even remember. We were there for like an afternoon and a night, and then gone the next morning. Like I was in and out. But you know, there, like, the crowd in GP was great. Like, holy shit, a lot of people showed up, and I was really surprised. You know, I mean, it was like, I expected some people.
Do you think that all us northern folk, we're not a fan of art, or what?
Yeah, I just figured that all the Hicks wouldn't like to read comic books because they hate literature.
Well, let me tell you, sir, we're not all a bunch of Hicks, okay?
No,
we don't all drive jacked up. Well, I do drive a jacked up truck and have sunglasses, but we don't all do that.
No, of course not. But like I was saying, like, you know, it's just like with any signing. I've done signings before in Edmonton where there's like 2 or 3 people who show up. You know what I mean? So in GP, like, there was tons of people there, man. I was signing for like an hour. It was,
and I was one of the 2 or the 3 that showed up.
Yeah. Whoa. Dwayne, are you saying you came all the way to Grand Prairie and you did not even reach out to the people that you do a weekly podcast with?
No, he didn't come with the GP.
I didn't go.
Yeah. All right, you live another day. Dwayne, but I've known you for over a year, and I still haven't met you.
Yeah, I know. We probably walk right by each other and not even say hi.
Yeah, I don't even know what you look like.
You'd be like you'd be like the kids at the end of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
you wouldn't talk to each other the next day.
It'd be like,
are we going to be friends tomorrow? We see each other?
Nope. That's the other reason why I wouldn't go golfing out there, just because you scare me. So
no, I get that. I entice riots. People call me Trump just to be fun.
Oh wow!
Sorry, that got a little off track.
No, I will say too. Like I've gone to probably 95% of Kyle's signings, and when, especially in these times, at the one that, like, you know, when the book came out on the 18th, I was like him. I was shocked and in awe of the amount of people that were lined up outside, down the sidewalk, waiting to get in to see him and waiting to get in to have that book signed. And it warmed the heart of the father, let me tell you.
You know what, man, that's fantastic to hear. And you know what, I think right along that whole line of amazing people, how about let's give a couple of shout outs here. We got Kendall Keller, who says, Dwayne Charles, what's going on?
Kendall, how you doing?
And we got Darcy Kohut. And he says, hello, Dwayne Charles and crew. Welcome to the channel. We're gonna have a little bullshitting time here. Some of it might be offside, but if you don't like offside, sit in the box.
Not in this podcast. This is never offside.
But you know what, Dwayne, or not Dwayne, sorry, Kyle. No, I said not Dwayne.
Sorry, we're both listening.
Yeah, Kyle. No,
right. How many pops have you had tonight?
Well, a couple.
It's all these stories that are out to say how many is he going to have?
Well, that is a great question. I'm going to call it the end. We'll finish once this cup is empty. We'll call it the day. How's that sound?
Like a drag.
That cup will never be empty.
No, Kyle, I'm curious about the whole media circus. I listened to, like, I seen you all over Facebook, man. Like you were everywhere. It didn't matter what page I was looking at. Kayla's got a very good point. Sorry, we have to do this before we go any farther.
Oh, okay, yes.
Do we even go through the rules? Yes, Kayla, you're right.
Kayla,
We need to go through the rules. And thank you for being the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Some people would call her a stickler. I think she just saved the show. Yeah. And I mean that. The rules. I like the rules.
Because she's saying she's watched 2 violations on both me and you, Kyle. I disagree. I don't remember any of them. But
no violations by the Dwayne.
Well, let's do some rules. Number 1, you cannot say, "Oh, really?" Because if you do, well, that's a drink. So, cheers.
Rule number 2, you're not allowed to say absolutely. Or that's a drink.
Kyle, you got this or what?
Was it no negativity at all, you sons of bitches?
Hey, Warren, that's a drink.
And number 4, the best one, you cannot touch your freaking face, eh? Because if you do, it might feel good, but it's still a drink.
That is true.
Well, we only took 20 minutes before getting to the rules, so I'm proud of us. We got here.
We don't have our rule maker with us tonight, so it just went sideways.
Speaking of rule makers, can we throw this guy under the bus?
I'm just going to say, you know what? In an effort to not have another drink, I will not be addressing Warren's comments. Believe
Listen,
me,
Warren,
when
if
you
you have any comments to make them positive, or I will positively disappear.
Censorship. I don't like that.
That's right. Yeah. Call me Twitter.
Warren can say what he likes. I support you in that, Warren. Say what you like.
Everybody's got an opinion. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't mean it's always good.
Yeah, that's right. Even if you're wrong, say what you like.
Exactly.
Dead wrong.
Dead.
Absolutely wrong.
Absolutely. That's a good one. And you know what? I'll have a drink with you because that was a good one. I appreciate it. So, Kyle.
Continue your question there, Colton.
Exactly. Back to this media circus. It was super cool to see you all over Facebook. Didn't matter what news circus you were on, you were there, you had your mask on, the whole works. So I've got a pile of questions. Can I start from the top?
Absolutely, I prefer it.
Okay, perfect. First, we're gonna say hi to Sherry. Hi, Sherry. So, the one question that I kind of heard, and I know things are always a little bit different from reality to what ends up being posted on social media or whatever the finals are. The one question that I had for you, Kyle, was what do you call your grandma?
She's my cookum.
Your cookum. Mm-hmm. And in one of the interviews that I heard you in, you talked a lot about stories that your cookum told you. Mm-hmm. And she was the original storyteller in your life, and that she would sit you down and tell you stories for hours.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, is there any story that your cookum told you that you could share with us?
Yeah, for sure. I think the one that stood out for me, she's like, I really want to scratch my nose.
Go for it. Just have a drink.
I'm just gonna wait till I'm thirsty. Yeah, the one that I liked the most was about the people call him different things, not the Mad Trapper, but like the guy up in Fort Saskatchewan who butchered and ate his family back in like, I don't know, like the early 1900s. And like in her tale, like, you know, the village people had to like trap him inside of a like a hall that they shared, and like hacked him to pieces. Like the medicine man and some other people like hacked him to pieces. And like when he was hacked, they hacked his head off. His head, like teeth were like sharp, and like his head was like rolling around the room, snapping at people, still like living. And yeah, yeah, man. I mean, like my cook was a badass, man. She loved horror movies and stuff. Like we used to watch like black and white movies together all the time and shit like that. And she, like, you know, if she wanted, I would never like play cards with her, and that really pissed her off. So she's like, how am I gonna get this kid to sit down and talk with me? You know, like, so what she would do is she'd just make stew and bannock and sit down, like, you know, set a bowl down and be like, come and eat. And so then I'd sit down and eat, and she would just sit down and she'd just go off and like tell us all these or tell me all these stories and shit like that. And I would just have a couple of bowls of stew and like sit there and listen to her. And like, you know, that was some of the best spoken, you know, traditional oral stories I've ever heard. You know, like the only person who I've ever heard to rival that is a writer named Richard Van Camp. And like, you know, I watched him control like a room full of like 200 students at Grant McEwen, of just like this story that, you know, like 1 second you're laughing, the other second you're crying, like, you know what I mean? And like the only other person who could do that kind of stuff was my cooking back in the day. Like she just like suck you in and like totally be like put you right there, and you were just really involved in the story, and it was all just by talking. You know, this little old lady just talking about it.
That's amazing. Do you remember the very first story that she told you?
No, I mean, shit, no. I mean, my cooking used to like, you know, she used to babysit me during the day when I was, you know, 4 or 5 years old, 3, 4, 5 years old. You know what I mean? Like, so she would tell me stories back then, and like, you know, so I can't tell you. I wouldn't. I can't remember that far back. I'm surprised I.
No, that's cool. But she made some pretty good food, eh? Some beef stew, some bannock.
Yeah.
Was there any like kind of twists on bannock that she would make? Like, is there any, or is it just straight up bannock?
No, she would just like fry bread and bannock. Very, very traditional. You know what I mean? Like the best baked, like her bannock was my favorite bannock ever. I've tried a lot of bannock in my life, and her fry bread. Like they just like they're both just the best. Like you know, like I'm not just saying that because it's my cookums, or maybe it might be like, you know, the first time like I've tried either one of those things. It was just delicious. It was crispy. It was crunchy. It was light. You know what I mean? And like the bannock was the right kind of like, you know, dense, but it was still, you know, still had like air pockets in it. It was just like, oh man, I miss it so much. You know what I mean? Like she's, you know, she's older and she's sick and she can't make it anymore. It's just like one of those like, you know, milestones in your life where like, oh my God, you know, like there's no more Stuart Bannock from Kokum and like no more stories. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what, man, I can completely relate to that. I had a great grandma that she used to make these buns. Like her, of course, like everyone's got a grandma that has the best buns that you've ever had in your entire life, right? But my great grandma, Grandma Beatty, she would make these buns that on the inside, like she'd make a bunch of different versions, but on the inside of these ones, they'd have cheese. So you'd
nice.
Up and you bite into it and it's cheese filled. They're amazing. Then you got these other ones that she used to make that had cheese, but then on the inside of the cheese, they had ground beef. Oh my, like the original Hot Pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, shit.
Colton, you need a little towel or something. You're drooling. You got a little drool there.
You know what the crazy thing is, man? I haven't had those. I haven't had those things probably 20 years. Like,
yeah,
it's been a long time, but those will never leave my memory. You know, like what Grandma makes.
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
that's the good stuff. Yeah,
yeah. I just, when you were just talking about that, I was just about to do the Homer Simpson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, even like same with Grandma Charles. We're like, holy crap! Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Like,
what was Grandma Charles's favorite recipe, or your favorite recipe that Grandma Charles used to make?
I think it was I don't know what it's called, but it's like the stuff with the strawberry, like the hot strawberry kind of like.
Oh, like are you talking her strawberry shortcake or no?
Yeah, something like that. But like you'd like crumble it up and then fill it with like this hot strawberry sauce.
Oh, like a rhubarb crisp, but it's strawberry.
Almost like
Like,
a trifle. Almost like a trifle.
Oh, trifle. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a trifle per se, but like I'm pretty sure those Grandma Charles like used to make that where it was like you like crumble up some kind of like not like a cake, well, I guess kind of cakey, and then you drizzle like hot raspberry or strawberry.
Like a strawberry,
sauce.
basically a strawberry shortcake. Her version of a strawberry shortcake, because it's just a
Exactly.
white angel food. It's a white angel food cake that she would make. She'd cut it up, put it in the dish, and the strawberries right over top. Oh, it was the bomb.com. For me, and my mom is her baking of. We used to come home from school and she'd have scones made, or she'd have buns or fresh bread or something like that. But
or even like,
especially around this time of year, the Christmas time and stuff like that, it's all the baked treats.
Yeah.
So that's probably where you got your love for fruitcake.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
Oh yeah, you do like that.
Kyle, what's your thoughts on a fruitcake?
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Amen.
Yeah, I remember that being around the house sometimes around Christmas time, and it was dense.
It works pretty good as a doorstop.
Overfilled. Like it was just like too much for me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Or like a weight for a balloon. Now, Maureen's got a question here. She says, "Where's your hat?" And Dwayne, I don't see a hat on you. I feel like Maureen's asking you about your hat, but you don't have a hat. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know, man. I don't always wear a hat.
I got a feeling if you stick around, you may just see the hat that you're thinking about.
Yeah, Leanne's saying it was her version of a white cake mix with strawberry.
You know what?
Crazy good.
That's hilarious.
And her scalloped potatoes.
Oh my God. Scalloped potatoes.
Untouchable.
Yeah.
Like, Grandma Charles, there's like some things that she made that were just like the best. Like they were just
No,
can't get over that one.
The fruitcake being little
Kendall,
gagging.
friends off.
Dwayne, I think you're on your own boat, buddy. Like
you're on an ice float with that one.
That's okay.
So, it's all the more fruitcake for you.
Exactly. If I'm on an iceberg by myself with this and the iceberg, I'll use the fruitcake to paddle my way to safety and also have it for dinner.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle, I got a couple of questions here for you about comic books and as far as like characters go.
Sure.
What was the main character that you drew for this comic book here? It was like Star or something?
No, not Star.
Oh, I'm making things up now.
Yeah, you are. No, it was Danny Moonstar.
Oh, see, I had the Star in there. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm
busting your chops a bit.
Gerald's not here. Somebody got it.
Man, have a look. I can't even see a line there.
Yeah. Anyways, Danny Moonstar. Just like a member of the New Mutants, like old school 1980s comic book. She was like, I believe she was like the central character in the new movie that just came out. I honestly I like specific artists more than really like specific comic books. And Bill Sienkiewicz did a bunch of New Mutant stuff back in the day, so I've got his absolute copy of that, as well as his artist edition, which is this huge hardcover book with pages reproduced at full volume, so you see it as big as it was made, right? So you get to see all the little details and shit in the artwork, which is like amazing. If you ever been a fan of comic books or interested in artwork or anything like that, get to a comic book store and check one of those out, because holy shit, it's really interesting to see the raw version of what comes out, all spiffy and clean and colored. But yeah, it's just Danny Moonstar. And then I got to co-create a character named Demon Rider. His name is Julian in the book. So, I got to design him and kind of bring him to life. And, I'll forever be attached with Marvel in that way. I helped co-create a character for Marvel.
Awesome.
That's amazing. So tell me about this Julian. Does he kind of roam around the trailer park with a glass of whiskey?
he never spills it. To be in a car accident and come out of the wreckage with like his drink.
That looks like a beauty, man. I love this guy. Goes back to Dale in the fall just so he can jump back into the hockey tournament.
Does he got a buddy by the name of Ricky?
How about Bubbles? Kicking her out?
I wish they he did. That would have been a lot more interesting, I guess. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, it was all right. Like the experience was extremely like hectic and just really, like 10 pages in 10 days around the clock, just drawing nonstop. And it kind of like, everything bottlenecked into Marvel. Like I had, several projects going at once and had to like stack them on top of each other in order to make room at the end of, the month for the Marvel stuff. And like just came in under the wire of like that day they were going to print. I had to get my stuff in that day. So it was just like going to bed at midnight, waking up at 5 o'clock and just like drawing around the clock until all that stuff was done.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a surprise performance from an 80s band that you do not know.
You say an 80s band?
An 80s band,
Oh shit, man! Holy crap, 90s.
Oh, sorry, I meant 90s, dude.
90s, yeah.
I'm sorry, they kind of look like the new kids on the block.
That's how you Gary sung it. Back down for all the lives that you've been living in. Yeah. If you didn't know what to sing me again, then I would understand. Yeah. I would understand. Yeah. I would understand. Yeah. That's as far as. Angry boy. Angry boy was a bit too insane. Passing over a secret.
See, that's all it took.
You know something's wrong. Everyone's got to put down the demons. Maybe today she was away from that live, my friend. Baptized with all the lies that you've been living in. So do I sing the high? Like I want to sing. I'll do the high line. Somebody, right? Nick, you got your.
I only know good music.
Somebody do the falsetto, right?
I only know good music. I don't know.
Nick, you look pretty falsetto, bro.
All right.
Falsetto, dude, because I'm on pressure scene and I'm likely to fall later. Yeah, dude.
There's a chance you can make it now.
Yeah.
Stopping by my garage. It's been a pleasure having you.
It took me 20 minutes to get down the stairs.
It's 25 to go up.
Hey,
20 minutes.
Oh.
hey, Colton. Is
Sorry,
that the
fellas,
new
not going
Boys
ahead.
to Men?
I need to start closing my garage door when I go inside. I apologize for that.
I agree with you, man.
Yeah, Nicky by there, right?
I'm pretty sure that's the new version of Boys to Men.
Hey man, I'm sorry to hear about your gout.
Sorry to hear about your gout.
It's all mine tonight, Goldson. Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing during these uncertain times?
Doug, Kayla is asking, is he wearing fake leather pants?
No. Well, I don't know if they
Think
are.
about them, dude.
I don't know if they're fake. They're called wipes.
What are they called?
They're called wife's leather pants.
Oh, because basically.
That's like the nuanced version of faux.
Pleather?
Yeah, pleather. They used to call it pleather. They used to call it faux. Now they call it wife's.
Or electrical tape.
Yeah, Ricky.
Yeah, and looks. They say hi, Nicky Bye. You can keep looking, but they actually didn't say that.
I was gonna say, man, I heard it 2 joint Facebook accounts, not a tree-way like that, though. My God.
So, gentlemen, this is Mr. Kyle Charles.
What? Hey, dude, how are you?
Yeah, what's going on, bud?
Oh, they say
What's
it's
going
in
on?
your earphone. Oh, you got to translate for
All right.
me.
Yeah.
Peace out, everybody.
Hello.
Love you. You guys are great.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting your
Yeah,
episode.
we're gonna take off here.
All
I gotta go try to do my best to get upstairs here now. I'll probably. Hey, actually, Colton, if you're done, you want to just help me up the stairs?
Oh, I'd love to.
I'll be at the
Yeah,
bottom.
for sure.
Hey,
Somebody give that man a piggyback.
Hey,
Hey,
Cole.
I hope you have a nice trip. I'll see you next fall.
Dude, I'm gonna do all those things, dude.
And shut your door on the way
Are
out.
you sure you want to shut?
Yeah.
Do you want me to stay here?
Take care then.
Okay.
Bye now. So anyways,
That's not that scare on, man.
Tanner told me
He's got a Nintendo
to
Switch.
tell you my favorite Marvel character. And he said Spider-Man by far.
Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick. Warren, redemption points. Congratulations. Spider-Man's a good pick.
At least you didn't sing it because that has turned out to be great.
Yeah.
So what's on the horizon for you now, Kyle?
Is it the sun? No, probably not the sun at this time of day. It's probably down.
Yeah, well-
it's not the moon.
Immediately after this, I'll have to throw on some kind of tasteful playlist to erase the remnants of Third Eye Blind or whatever the fucking trash boat 90 song that was.
That
And,
what do you tell Google to play when you want it to erase your remnants? Because I want to file that to my memory bank and use that and say, "Hey Google, play that playlist that Kyle said on the show to
Yeah,
remain."
I'm gonna say Curtis Mayfield, Superfly.
Ooh, nice.
I can't find that Kyle said on the show to
Okay, Google just works too well for me. You know, she's such a great assistant that she listens all the time. Like, it's great.
Yeah, to answer your question there, Pop. Yeah, so recently I just announced to Facebook. I'll be taking on a new career endeavor.
Come on.
Yeah, I just signed a big contract, a 2-year first look deal with Nelvana Studios, which is like, if you ever watched like Babar or any of those old school, like I think like Raccoons and shit, Nelvana Studios is like pretty much like produced a lot of Canadian content in the past 50 years. Like they're at the touch my face. At the end of any cartoon that you might have watched between like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s with the polar bear at the end, it kind of comes up and their name or whatever. That's the studio that I'll be doing a first look for. And so pretty much like what that is, like a first look deal, is that any kind of like, let's say a video game company or a movie studio for live action or an animation studio like this comes to thank you, Leanne. Thank you. Comes to any like kind of artist who's got they're more visionary or something like that. You know what I mean? There's somebody that you want to kind of extract ideas from. So for 2 years, any ideas I have for early morning cartoon shows or mid-afternoon shows or primetime television that is animated series or animated feature films, I just pitch all my stuff to them. So I just start dreaming stuff up. And like, they have, a specific amount of time to negotiate with me whether or not they're going to buy that property. And I can be involved or as least involved as I want. You know what I mean? I could be like a showrunner, which means like I'll be controlling the writer's room and the concepts and where the show's going. Or I just say, here's the concept, here's the story, here's the amount of money I want, and here's the royalty thing, and we work all that stuff out. And then they just take it and they run with it, and they just develop it on their own. And I don't have anything to do with it after that, which is obviously like, doing 10 pitches, they want 3 of them. So, like it's just, it's a great opportunity to start a different career. And, for 2 years, I'll just be pitching them. And after this, who knows where it goes? I'm aiming for Netflix. That's my goal. It's Netflix. When I talk about my 5-year plan that I had, where like it accelerated, into a year and a half. Now we're here. It's for Nelvana. I'm going to pitch the hell out of them. I've got a lot of good pitches already, kind of like cooking up. And what happens with those, like, whether or not I'm more involved or less involved, whatever happens with those, at least I'm going to have some stuff like hitting the fire and lighting some stuff up. And then, like I said, just really aim for Netflix. And, I've got so many ideas, it's a lot of stuff that I want to throw at them. And I just really want to, fight to get some content out there. So this is a really exciting opportunity.
Congrats, kid. So proud of you. So I know how you attacked doing comics. Like, I know the passion that you attacked it with. And I would think that you're probably going to attack this with the same kind of passion and
veracity.
Veracity. That's the word. That is a great word.
I'm gonna attack the net and get pucks deep. All right, Pops.
When you attack a project, when you attack something like this, something new like this, like that, is it a great motivator for you, or does it scare you a little bit on knowing who you are and how you go about things? Like, is there a little bit of fear there at all, or is it just like, this is something new, I'm heading straight forward and I'm just gonna push this right till it goes right over the edge?
Yeah, no, there's no fear at all. I'm raring to go. I'm ready. Whether that's just selling an idea or, when the time comes and I'm able to, when all my other contracts are settled and I've got my, the graphic novel that I'm working on now done, I'm looking to jump in with both feet and become a showrunner, because a lot of people think like, oh, comic books is such an easy job. And like, I'm not going to say that like I'm in a coal mine or anything like that, but like, it's still a back-breaking job. Like, like my back is pretty jacked up. Like, I'm fucking, I've got like X amount of years left at a drawing table where I'm like hunched over drawing like this for 12 hours a day. So doing something like this is going to be a lot of work, but I know it'll be like working with people and, like just, you're not just stuck at the table, chained at the table, just go. So shit, I gotta make a new drink for that one. But yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say too much about my ideas on here. I'll just let them unfold. But like, there's big plans, there's big ideas, and like when I was younger, I would do this kind of planning, even though like I knew I was miles off from Marvel or doing any kind of comic book work. Even at that point, I hadn't even gone to school yet. But I would still fill up journals of like ideas and 5-year plans and what it would take, and like just breaking everything down. Like I even made like a budget, like I budgeted like a film, like an entire like film shoot down to like the light bulbs and where I'm going to rent all the equipment and like, what I mean? So, like, you just break down a cost list. So like I've been doing this for years for free. Now that I'm getting paid for, like I'm really excited. It's like, fuck yeah, okay, here we go. Like, like they're paying me for this stuff. And like, I'm just excited to start pitching ideas. So I've got a meeting for next Wednesday. It's the first like official meeting. And like I've got a pitch that's already like kind of like halfway done. Like, what I mean? Like I would say it's almost ready to even just pitch it on Wednesday at our first meeting, which is just kind of a check-in and be like, hey, here's what we expect from you. And I want to be like, motherfucker, I've got an idea already. Like, here's the character designs, here's the story, here's where it could go, here's the the challenging plot devices and all this kind of stuff, and we're building in tropes and satire and all this kind of, like, what I mean? Like I'm really confident and really excited, and like I can't wait to start firing off at these guys.
That reminds me of Wolf of Wall Street when what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio, when he is trying to get into being a stockbroker, in his interview, he pitches a stock. So that sounds very similar to what you're talking about is, right. In the interview, it's like, okay, man, I just want to know your fucking name. And you're in there and you're like, listen, man, these are going to be the guys and they're going to be killing it. And this is going to be the series. This is going to be part 1, part 2, part 3. And they're like, whoa, pump your brakes. But you know what? If you've ever seen that movie, he kills it. Yeah. And he essentially takes over the world. And even still in reality, the guy like what's his name, Jordan Belfort, is doing amazing. Yeah, he went to jail for a bit. I mean, we're gonna smart
I'll try to avoid those pitfalls of like, you know, pride and ego and all that kind of shit. I just want to
from people before you, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that you're not wrong. Like I love that movie for the drive and the idea and like the foresight and vision and all that. Like I'm not somebody who would ever be ashamed of success. You know what I mean? Like, because I've fought so fucking hard to get some success that like now that like I've had some people that I know kind of like roll their eyes at like, you know, oh, I got a chain and like a gold watch and all this kind of shit. I'm like, yeah, well, I earned it. Like I fucking earned this shit, you know? So like I'm proud of what I have. I'm proud of my house. I'm proud of like, you know, like my clothes, my look and shit. Like I worked to get there. So there's a huge difference, you know what I mean? So when I like watch movies like that, like I don't like I'm very aware of like, well, I don't want to go down that fucking path. But like the rest, all the positive things that you could like, you know, extract from that. Okay, you know, I totally love the, you know, the fact he would pitch something in his interview. Just ideas like that. Hell yeah, man. Like I want to be like, they're not prepared for it. Just lay it down, be like, here's what it is. Here's what it would cost, and here's where it would be going, and just like be really prepared. Like, so
exactly.
But I know that. Like, oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I know though that, like, you know, the more time I can have to massage everything out and make it even better, then I'm gonna take it. So I've got 2 months from like, you know, that first meeting to kind of like work on a pitch and get ready for every 2 months I have to have a pitch ready. So it'll be a lot of work, but that's all right.
So it kind of runs in cycles in your business. It's not kind of like like what I want to kind of, you know, parallel you to is kind of a stand-up comedian where like you kind of, you know, it takes you a while to build up some content and you perfect that content. And once you get that content nailed, then you throw it out to the mass and then you move on to the next.
That's a great analogy for it. Cause I love stand-up comedians and I'm not just like, I love watching stuff that makes me laugh, obviously, but like, I like the craft. I like behind the curtain of like what those guys got to go through, guys and girls, obviously, like what those people have to go through. It's like, it's not easy shit. And like, you absolutely have to build up a kind of like a reservoir of like personal experience and life and all that kind of stuff. And also like for any kind of like, what makes the good comedians even better is that they're not just telling you jokes. They're telling you like their world perspective, like how they perceive the world. And that's what makes it so like, you can't just like, oh, anybody can tell that joke. It's like, no, because now you're stealing their perspective. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I love the analogy a lot. So like, and it's true. Like, you know, like in this first story, I've got some like life stuff that, you know, I'm going to borrow from my real life and like what I experienced in high school. Cause you know, the first one is kind of like an indigenous Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like it's just a young character who's like, when we like are introduced to them, you know, he's got his powers. He's not totally like confident with them, but like he's starting to really get there. It's not like an origin story. We're going to drag you through that. We're going to just drop you in the middle of it and be like, yeah, you've watched superhero stuff. You understand, like, if I tell you that this guy's got an origin and we're going to like, kind of like, you know, whatever, and like not tell it just yet, you'll stick around for it because we will tell it eventually, but hopefully we can make it interesting, you know? So like with this one, like, yeah, it would work for something like that because it is kind of like a Spidey inspired character and like a little bit of an outcast and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's like, I'm really excited for that. And like, you know, I absolutely agree with that analogy of like, comedians and they have to kind of like they do this thing and then they drop it and there's on the next thing and they work on their next hour and you know like you know comedians of the past like you know George Carlin and stuff like that, they would just work on their hours. They'd almost be releasing like an hour special every year. They just keep boom 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 like keep doing it
100%. And like what we see as consumers is we see their stadium show, right? Mm-hmm. And like that stadium show, that's not the first time that they've said those jokes. No, like they've been working on those for like a year, right? Like they were secretly kind of planning and kind of talking to themselves, and then they go to some kind of underground, you know, comedy show. And then they work into a theater, and then they work into a show, and then they work into a whole stadium tour. And that's what we see on Netflix is that stadium tour, that polished product. Yeah. And that's what you're kind of pumping out to the public is your polished product, right? So is there any time like throughout that whole kind of working process where you don't really know where things are going, like where you're kind of like, well, this is the character and this is kind of the parameters that I've been given, but do I really know where I'm going, or do you kind of have parameters set? Like this is the guy age 0, and then this is the guy at the end of his life, and he's age 42, and these are the steps you have to go through, or do you get to kind of pick and choose and kind of make up his own little, steps?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the process yet because we're just starting, but from what I've been told, it's kind of like just dream stuff up. And what we like, we will negotiate for. What we don't, we're going to pass on. And after 90 days, you can take that and pitch it to whoever you want. But as far as creative control, as of right now, it's kind of just dream it up, pitch it to us right. And you know what I mean? You really want to nail it, out of the ballpark. But there are no parameters. They aren't looking, as a storyteller and a creator, you kind of have okay, well, here's the overall arc of the story, and here's what the character motivations are, and here's where things get tough for him, and here's where they have to overcome, and they learn something about themselves, and storytelling. I don't want to make it sound like a mechanism or anything like that, but it is almost mathematical in the way that you got to tell these stories.
It's a process, right?
Yeah, it's North American viewers especially are used to a certain way they tell the story, and even it doesn't matter if it's a $10 million movie, if they make those anymore, and a $200 million movie Avengers or something. There's just a formula that you need to kind of stick by. But if you can build good character relationships with the audience, then when things happen or people die or change happens, the audience will obviously be invested and feel something for that, right? So that's what you're hoping to do is draw them in with a viewpoint that they can relate to, and that they really start rooting for the character immediately. And then you put them through the ringer in whichever ways, and teach them things in whichever way. And then overall, you say something with your theme. You got something. There's just so many different layers to the storytelling, that I'm just really excited to get to pitch them this stuff and sit down on the video chat like we are now and just start going boom, 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 boom. Here's where we're going, and here's where we're going to be by the end, and here's what they're going to learn about themselves, and here's what they're going to have to learn next season. You know what I mean? So
yeah. You know what, Colton? He's not excited at all.
Yeah, he looks.
He's just subdued. He's just
You know what? Yeah, right. I've talked to a lot of people here over the past few months, and there's a lot of people that are very excited. And yeah, Kyle seems 0%. For sure.
So Kyle, growing up, I look at it as, well, I call it old school and new school animation. You growing up and us watching cartoons together on Saturday mornings like we did together, Marvel and Gargoyles and the Raccoons and all that kind of stuff. And the design, I look at it as those cartoons were a lot more curvatures to their faces and their bodies and stuff like that. And it seems like nowadays a lot of animation has gone to anime. Is that the right way of saying it?
Yeah.
Where it's a lot cleaner lines and straight edges and crisp, I guess is probably maybe the better way of saying that. Which is what do you think is the better version, or do you think that both versions have a place out there? And I guess if you're designing it and you're writing it and you're putting it together and stuff like that, which version would you choose, one over the other kind of thing, or do you?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. It's actually something that I've been thinking about a lot. And it comes down to money. Because what you're saying now is cartoons are made in a specific way that is cheaper. Oh shit!
The Pied Piper has entered the room.
Well, you know what? Somebody asked me Maureen asked me a little while ago, where's my hat? Because
It is.
I mean, like if you looked at me and said, if that's a character, would you just immediately imagine like that must be a character out of the 80s?
No,
Oh, the
I
Mad Hatter.
look like Krusty the Clown.
Okay, see here, this is my deliberation, if you will. Guys from the 80s. We got Guns N' Roses. You got Slash. Okay. What did Slash have? He had long curly hair and he had a top hat. Hey. Okay. So if Slash was a vegetarian and only ate carrots, well, he'd be like Carrot Top and he'd have red hair. So I'm like the vegetarian version of Slash. I'm Chop.
Oh, so if Slash was addicted to carrots instead of heroin, that would be you.
Yeah, we'll call it Carowin.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard of a case of somebody eating carrots and going ginger.
Yeah, they could see you so good.
Now there was a comedian in the late 80s by the name of Carrot Top. Are you his offspring?
And he was what?
Are you his offspring?
I am not his offspring. But I bought his hat at a cool store. Good price.
All right, so like I was saying before, Colton interjected with his now he's got prop comedy going on.
And it took him months to put that together.
Sorry, Kyle. You go ahead.
That was a build-up, Kyle.
Yeah, that was about an hour-long build-up.
It wasn't anticlimactic at all. Okay. I was just kidding. That looks good on you. You came in and
Now we hurt his feelings.
Get rid of it.
Better.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kyle.
All right, Colton, catch you up. Pop's here. He asked a pretty good question. And so pretty much what he asked is like, back in the day when you and I were younger, Colton, the cartoons looked better than they do now. Because like, you think so? Go leave there. Go find another prop that helps you with your point.
Shit, I just pigeonholed myself into the wrong pigeonhole, didn't I?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. There we go. No, that's fine. If you want to be, this new age and stuff, then fine. That's fine.
I'm a nuanced kind of guy, looking for a nuanced kind of world.
Well, the difference between the two is that like old school animation was kind of like just traditional animation, like we used to watch in Disney movies and shit, right? Where you just kind of like you draw it all out, fucking frame by frame. It's really tedious, and it's like you got hundreds of people. It costs a lot of money, but it looks more fluid in its motion. Whereas like what we have now is that you kind of take your storyboards and you take those into an animation program and program them in. And like some scenes you can do it where like each body part is an asset. So you just have an asset and then you animate it through the program. And it's just why like things just don't look the same. You know what I mean? Whereas if like, Warren here, he's these redemption points more and more. Gargoyles was awesome. It's true. That was a great show. But you were saying like, like you were saying, Pop said it looked like a little more anime of this new stuff. Well, like Gargoyles is actually influenced by anime. I mean, that was a show. Yeah, that was a show that was heavily influenced by anime and actually kind of like had an anime feel and vibe, like to the look of the characters' faces and designs and stuff like that. But if you're asking me like which I'd rather work in, I would absolutely rather work in the old school style because like I would want my stuff to look like Akira or Studio Ghibli and just like some of the best animation ever, like Satoru Kon, and just there's so many amazing animated movies that are just like of such a high echelon of like quality and craft and storytelling that just like it's not even an anime anymore. It's just a really good movie and story that you're watching, and like that's what I'd hope for. But like obviously I'm going to have to work within the parameters of the budget that we have and the technology that we use now. So I'm going to try my best to make it look, but that could be an advantage. It could be that, you know, other companies or people just didn't think of utilizing that in a specific way. I want things to have an anime comic book kind of vibe because I've always liked anime and I've always liked comic books. So like if we can find a happy medium between the two and like use this technology in a way that's like, it's not boring or like, you know, I know what you're talking about, Pops. It's kind of like a sterile look to it.
You know what,
these are the best, but that's okay.
I'm really excited to jump down this avenue. I've got a pile of questions after, you know, piggybacking on that on your comment there, but yeah. So growing up in high school, I was in 3D animation. I was using Maya.
Okay.
You know the program.
No.
But I was kind of like I would build the buildings and I would build kind of like the set. And I loved it. It was amazing. And I still to this day, now I use it's a Google program. Shoot, I can't
Was
remember.
it Google Draw?
Google Draw, I think is what it is exactly.
A lot of comic book creators use that for the background.
SketchUp.
Yeah, because you use that for a lot for like architecture and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I just build buildings. I've built so many different things that like I want to actually build in person. And I remember one thing that I built. It was kind of like I've got a canopy on the box of my pickup.
Okay.
And so I built like a wooden thing to slide in the box of my pickup that has like drawers and stuff, but on the top is like a flat sheet of plywood so I can put an air mattress on there. And it's basically like a camper under the canopy, but under the bed is like some slide out drawers where you can put all sorts of things. So I built this thing to spec, like
using that
and all using Google SketchUp. And I told my dad exactly what I needed for material because I had it all measured out.
Yeah.
Like to the exact board, right? And I had this all done up and he's like, no, man. Like you're going to need a little bit extra just in case. No, man. Like I know exactly how much I need.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, no. So I go and buy exactly how much I need, bring it back. And at the end I had like 2 2x4s like this, you know, remaining. And he's like, you're nuts, man. I don't know how you figured it out. But computers are freaking insane. And that's what happens. That's as we progress through technology. Like, I don't know if we talked about this last week, Dwayne, where I was talking about I was being on VR and talking to my stereo and then I go outside and I go fly my drone. Like we're living in the future.
Yeah.
Like
it's here. Yeah, it's here, baby.
Man. If you revert 5 years ago, do you imagine us being this advanced?
Not only that, but like look at the dystopian we're living in. We're in the fucking future, man. Like this is like the Capitol just got stormed. I think we got a pandemic going on. I mean, we still keep in contact via like video chats. You remember like the clunky old like version of movie? Like,
man, I don't know you guys. I only know you through this little computer thing, man.
That's it. This little box right here. That's it. That's all I know, Colton. I like it. So I can only imagine what the real life version's like. It's got to be good products.
Larger than life, brother.
I don't imagine at all.
But you know what? It's super cool, Kyle, because it's given me the opportunity to watch. Like you've done a pile of interviews, right? Like, have you kept a metrical count of how many interviews you've done with people since your comic book has been released?
Nah, man. I know.
If you had a ballpark, like,
I'm gonna say at least like, you know, between 8 and 10 TV things and like 8 and 10 radio things. It was like every single day there'd be like people emailing me, texting me, hitting me up on Instagram. I'm gonna be doing something with the AGA here coming up soon.
What's the AGA stand for?
The Alberta Gallery of Art.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they just hit me up on Instagram, you know what I mean? And we're just like, hey, we couldn't find your email online, so we had to hit you up on here. Please get
so is that kind of your primary source of contact is Instagram?
No, not at all. Like I don't really use it too much. Like I'll post if I'm not posting like anything that's new to my collection or silly photos of me or some comic book bullshit, then like I'm not on it. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't. It's social media overall. I don't like being on. Like I don't. Like I don't know. I don't mind doing podcasts with good people like you and you guys. You know what I mean? And joining shows like this. Yeah, I know. There you go. Oh, now I feel bad for saying that you like the wrong animation. You took your hat off. I feel bad now.
Yeah. So I'm thinking why I like that version of animation, right? Like that was what I did. So it was really cool to be able to like, man, I made that building. Like that's cool. You know what I mean?
It's just like if you and like I don't know if people out here are gonna want to bother doing this, but like if you just like look how old cartoons were made. And like, the cell animation stuff, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. The backgrounds are fantastic. They're hand painted, and like just the process and like what you have to do. Like I know it's more time consuming, it's more costly and all that kind of stuff, but like it's more organic and like just more full of life. And there's like way more craft that goes into it. I honestly I don't think I could be an animator. Like that's a different breed of artist, man. Like every different field. Like you have people who they're different kind of folks. You know what I mean? Like an animators are a specific breed. Comic book artists are a specific breed. Editorial artists or really technical artists using like AutoCAD to do their stuff or anything like that. Like it's just like different kind of genres of artists. You know what I mean? So animators are like loopy, like kind of really obsessive, like just precision, like like really just on a different wavelength of just like whoa.
So you're trying to say freaking nuts?
A little bit.
So,
go ahead.
You two are way younger than I am. Okay, let's so when I was growing up and watching cartoons and stuff like that, like I mean the one that sticks in the back of my mind is the old Spider-Man. Like the old Spider-Man cartoon that it was unbelievable. Like it was amazing to me as a kid. It's like, wow, yeah. Even though you've seen the same building, after another as he's flying, but he's moving, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that's same as Transformers. Like, look at the original Transformers, man. Like 90% of the action scenes, it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that building like 18 times.
Oh yeah, definitely reuse assets and like a lot of shows, like even like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Everyone's like, oh man, that's a great show and the animation was fantastic. Like, yeah, for the first year or so, the first 2 seasons, they were great. But like after that, man, like it got Spider-Man. The 40 Spider-Man.
I wasn't alive in the 40s. Go read a DC comic.
And the 60s.
Yes, Spider-Man was on one of them.
Yeah. So Kyle,
I had something that was into that. Sorry. So taking that and all the old cartoons and stuff like that, like I mean, go back to all the ones that you watched growing up and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. If somebody came to you and said, "Hey, Kyle, we want you to do a reboot on something," who would you do? What cartoon would be the one that you'd want to do a reboot on? If somebody said, "Hey, you can have a choice of whatever you want. We would just want you to do a reboot of something old."
I think I would have to go back and do a 90s X-Men cartoon.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I just, my comic book collection is extensive and I love those cartoons. And I'm always like kind of just going back to the 90s X-Men, like late 80s, early 90s X-Men. It's like my favorite era of comic book. I absolutely love those stories and characters. And I feel like those are probably like the cast of characters that I know the best and like can absolutely nail the tone or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And 3 drinks. You said absolutely way too many times.
Oh shit.
Sorry, I had to interject. I'll even have a drink because I said absolutely, but that's I guess.
I'll help you out with that one.
As you were.
But yeah, the '90s version of the X-Men cartoon was, like obviously going back as an adult now, like not everything holds up, but it's still really good. And like that specific era of X-Men specifically was the shit. And it was during the time of comic books where it was like global, and it was like comic book artists were rock stars. So if I could like reproduce a what this question series would you say no to recreating if asked to reboot it?
Here, read that out loud, Kyle.
Yeah, so there you go. What about this question? What series would you say no to recreating if asked to reboot it? That's a really good question. I'm gonna finish wrap up here on the X-Men thing, and then I'll try it. Like, damn, that's a good one. Like, I don't know, a lot I would say no to. You know what I mean? Like, that's a floodgate of TV shows that were just real shit back in the day.
See, that's serious. I wanted to piggyback on Dwayne's question, but now I have to piggyback on Warren's question because he was very excited to ask his question. So you go ahead, Kyle.
All right. One, like, I would have to put it like this. What's a cartoon that you would be excited by initially, but in the end you'd say no to probably? How's that? Can I answer that kind of question? Because like it's just like what do I'd say no to? Tons of stuff I'd say no to.
Yeah.
But if they came to me, if they came to me and said, "How about this?" and I thought about it and tried approaching it, in the end I was like, "No, I don't think I can do it."
And that's kind of how he kind of twisted at the end, like not because it's not a good series, but one that shouldn't be redone.
Oh, okay. Oh, well,
it's like a series that you think you should not jump in there to put your own twist on because you think it's so good.
You know what?
If I had a twist, it would be the Gargoyles, to be totally honest with you. That would be me. But that's me.
That show, when I was a kid, like I liked the Gargoyles, but I found it a little bit boring when I was a kid.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like maybe I just like I've rewatched it since like I've become a man. Yeah. So, like I've rewatched it since then. Like I've got all of them on my computer. Like I've got every episode.
Yeah. How come you didn't drop your voice there?
Pardon me?
How come you didn't drop your voice there? Like I feel like when I say when I become a man, and you're just like, I become a man. So
because I never fully became a man. I've got toys everywhere, and but no, that's a good question, Warren. One that shouldn't be remade. I think like something that I wouldn't try to remake because I don't think you could recapture it because of like how groundbreaking it was and how good it was in the end, and like it just had a good kind of spirit and soul to it. Was oddly enough something I wouldn't reboot is Reboot.
Oh, Reboot.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, like that was a really cool show, and like there was no animation like that before Reboot. Really, Mainframe Studios, who's the people who created that, like they knocked it out of the park. They utilized a new technology, and they still kept the soul of a cartoon in it. And I just don't think and there's been plenty of times people tried to reboot, and like man, like they just like it falls apart, doesn't even make it to TV. And I think that's just something you can't, like it's like somebody trying to remake The Crow. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's a movie that they keep trying to remake it, but it's like, nah, there's a reason why you can't, because it's just like the specific time that it was released and like, the technologies it used and the star it had, like, what I mean? Like, there's just certain factors that you can't recreate.
There's only one actor that could play that part in that movie anyways.
Yeah. And oddly enough, it was Bruce Lee's son.
Yeah.
That was Bruce Lee's son?
Yeah, Brandon Lee, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a drink.
Hey, Kyle, would you say Astro Boy would have been the first anime or one of the earliest animes?
Yeah, I mean, I think it came out in like 1968 or some shit. Yeah. Like originally in Japan.
That was one of your brother's favorite cartoons.
Yeah. I remember Uncle and Trevor, they loved Astro Boy. It was a little too early for me. I wasn't into, like, I remember watching Astro Boy, but I just remember it never connecting with me. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was a cool cartoon or whatever. But Yeah, I'd say that's actually, that's got to be one of the, I think it's based on the manga. But it's not, it's got to be one of the earliest animes. Because I think it was like when they did it, like it was black and white still.
Yeah.
The first Astro Boy was still fucking black and white. But like for animes, like to me, the watermark is Akira. And that was released in 1989. And I know it's like an easy answer. There's a lot of like really obscure anime that is like fantastic and mind blowing. Would I reboot Earthworm Jim? I mean, I don't know if I'm the artist to do that kind of art. I loved Earthworm Jim, the cartoon, and the video games on Sega Genesis were the shit. They're super hard games. Yeah, man. Yeah. Sega Genesis. I'm actually like I've been buying like Sega Genesis games lately. On the other side of this computer here, Colton, I've got a Batman, like tube television with a Sega Genesis attached to my desk, and like just a stack of old Genesis games here. And like
which
in the morning I'll just like play Genesis games.
Colton, which includes Hawk NHL 94.
My man.
Yeah, I've got 94, 97. So we got the last version of hockey where you can make their head bleed when you hit them.
And you're Gretzky in both versions for sure, right?
I'm Gretzky? No, come on. Gretzky's too good.
What are you, Hemsky?
Hemsky 94? No, I'm probably more of a who would be back then 94? Not even Jason Arnott was drafted back then.
94,
right?
that's back in the day. Smith.
I'm not even sure who's a part of that's like the no man's land of. Well, he was was 94 the year he was drafted? Was he drafted in 94?
Same page. We're on the same page.
Was in 95 he was drafted? 95, 96? Yeah. I didn't think he was in 94. That was like the no man's land of Edmonton Oilers teams. It was just like this middle ground. There was not really no stars, no depth. Just
you know what, I've been a part of that my entire life. It's been awesome. No stars, no lives. Yeah. First round draft picks for like 18 years in a row, and dead last. This is sweet. I love the Oilers. Anyways, back to comic books.
And no negativity.
Yeah. And that team was called Buffalo, just so you know.
Oh yeah, Buffalo. Yeah. Hey Kyle, I'm curious because we talked about it a little bit before the show, and I rewatched a bunch of your interviews, and they made a huge portion of it being the fact that you're Indigenous and that you're kind of redoing an Indigenous character, and that because you're Indigenous, you're able to bring in an Indigenous kind of breath into these characters that haven't had that in the past. Mm-hmm. And one of the characters that they talked about is Thunderbird. Mm. Now, I'm not a comic book guy by any means. I don't need to throw my name into the hat by any means at all. But I'm curious: do you know this Thunderbird character, and would you consider yourself being an artist on a Thunderbird comic?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'd consider anything that Marvel was gonna kind of throw my way. I would be happy to be involved again because it's Marvel. Like, so there's never like, while like working for Marvel used to be the be all end all goal. It's not so much anymore. It hasn't been for a while. And even when
you're there.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like even before all this stuff, like I was like, I'm not chasing that anymore. I'm not going after that. Like, that's, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then oh well. Like, it's not. I wasn't in pursuit of it anymore. You know what I mean? But obviously, like, if they came to me and they're like, hey, we've got a Thunderbird book that we want you to do, or Warpath, like his brother, because Thunderbird dies in the like his first mission out, he dies. So, the character that took his place is Warpath, and that's been his brother for the entire time, right? So any character, like, the reason obviously why it's like, it's just representation. It's just like, if anyone's gonna tell a story about this culture and like the character's inherently, a part of that culture, then like it should probably be a creator who can tell that, story properly and like educated, like storytelling is important because, representation is number one, and also just accuracy. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to throw them in like just beads in the headdress and be like, well, this guy is a whatever, and he's an Indian and blah, blah. We're going to go in there and make sure that the story is told properly, not just for the benefit of our community, but for the benefit of every community. Because even if, other communities don't know the culture, they'll be introduced to it. They'll learn something about that culture. Maybe that's the way you build a bridge between that person who doesn't understand the culture, and you get them to understand a little bit by having an accurate representation of that character and their culture and their background.
Totally. I'm not gonna understand your culture if I'm just standing over here like making shit up.
Yeah, and you're just guessing about it, right?
Exactly.
And I'm no doctor. Like, I'm not.
You're not a doctor?
Yeah, I know, right? That's not why you have me on the show, Colton. I don't heal myself.
Corn on my toe, but
Yeah.
I guess I'll pass that question up.
But I'm a part of the culture. I've lived it. It's in me, and I've gotten older. I've gotten more involved. I've gone to university and studied Native arts and Native literature and this kind of stuff. I'm educated in that. Just even beyond my own family. Like, I went out and educated myself further for the pursuit of that knowledge. So if somebody hires me to write a story, like, through my friends and associates that I work with in this community, like, I know more. So Marvel can come to me and hire me as a writer or an artist to portray that character properly, because it deserves it. And why not? Like, how hard is it to go out and find somebody to do this right? Like, you can do it the right way, or the wrong way. And like, it's one of my favorite quotes from my favorite director. It's like, there's two ways of doing things, and the other way is wrong.
I was waiting for so much more at the end of that quote. I thought there was.
It's cut and dry.
Yeah, no. All right, go ahead, Dwayne.
Sorry. So, Kyle, with your company, with your business, Colton, I don't know if you know this, but he started his own business, his own company, and it's called Unregistered Studios.
Mm-hmm.
With that, Kyle, I know that you're bringing in Native artists is what you're wanting to have come work with you and stuff like that. Will that also be a part of for the animation side of things too, or is that just something it's going to be split? You got your this here, and you're just focused on doing the animation side of it, or are you going to combine them?
Yeah. No, for now it's going to be separate. You know what I mean? Like, it's that's important, because like, if you're incorporated and you got your business and you sign your business up to this contract, and like, which anything you create out of that business, whether it's a comic book or an animation pitch or whatever the case is, if it's a video game, blah blah, whatever, they get that first look at whatever you're developing. So for me as a human person, like this artist, I am just Kyle Charles in this contract. They can't go after stories that I want to get other people going on the unregistered side of things. But eventually, that's the part of the 5-year plan, which is to create the company, get it going, get properties under our belt, and in terms of like comic books and stuff like that, and sell them for cross-media purposes, so that we can cross over to Netflix in either live action or animation. So when Nelvana, when this came up, it's just like, it's a trip. It's like weird. It's like I haven't put out anything. Like, I've been doing animation projects recently for the past couple of years, but I haven't really planted any kind of flag where I'm like, this is upon this rock I'm going to build my church, and like, that's not what I've been doing at all. I just kind of been thinking about it and being like, maybe down the road I can scrape some crew together and we can start tackling animation. And Nelvana was just like, boop, 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 boop. Hey, we've got a 2-year look contract that we want to sign you up for. It's worth X amount of money, and the pay is very, very good. And so it's like, yes, everything, because this is how we build those bridges and we create those connections. So that after, depending on what they decide to create out of everything that I've pitched them, we can come back together in 2 years and be like, well, now we want to try a more exclusive thing, or blah, blah, blah. Or what are your hopes and dreams of where do you want to go? And we'll help aim that, together. It's all for the purposes of like building something upon this foundation. So it's like really exciting. But like for the unregistered side of things, we're gonna get some people going on comic books. I think that's the path that we're gonna take. Whether or not I'll be like one of those people producing comic books as soon as it launches, that remains to be seen. This animation thing can really take hold, and like that's just what we're gonna do from there. You know what I mean? Like that, I'll be handling that side of things and getting people going on the comic book side of things. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, awesome.
That's awesome. So I guess as far as my questions go, as far as like the animation goes, is like with this kind of new role, are you more management side? Are you more artistic side? Are you kind of trying to jump between the two? Or are you somewhere in the middle?
I think I'd be somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? Like it's if I do like this graphic novel and finish it and complete it in like, you know, a timely fashion in 2 years time, you know, I've hit on a pitch that they're really excited about. We're just, you know, these things take time. You know, we've got to really massage it and like make sure that it's ready to go before we start pouring real money into it, because the last thing you want to do as a showrunner or director or writer is just like start hemorrhaging money. And it, like obviously any business, you don't want to be like looking like a jackass and like you don't know what you're doing and like you're just like the budget's just getting out of control. So for me, it's like
no, balance themselves. I don't know if you've listened to our prime minister, but they actually balance themselves. So budgets, you just don't worry about it, man.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll have a drink.
That's a drink.
I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out regardless of what Trudeau's doing, whatever path he's dancing on. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, well, the kind of like right now the sky's the limit, especially in this climate. Like, you can't really, you're not doing live action as easily as you have before in the past. But one thing you can do is animation. Like, you can do animation remotely. And if you have a team meeting via, you know, Zoom or whatever, I would assume you just like have your work day. You would address like, you're asking about like, would it be management? Would it be artistic? I'd be in the middle. I'd be the guy who's like the bridge between management and the executives and the team and my artists. And like, I'm the tastemaker. I'm the one who sees the path that the show is supposed to take. And like, you know, we're following my vision upon that path. And like, whether it's successful or flops, it's all riding on my shoulders. But like, I'd be in the middle, showrunner, like making sure that there's the quality of the animation at a certain level, as well as keeping in the tone and feel of the story that, you know, as it was originally pitched.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And you know what, I would have to relate that a lot to my cousin. He was an engineer. He went to school for engineering, and are you okay?
Oh, somebody did see
after me on the bench I'm sitting on.
Neo.
But my cousin, he lives in Dubai. He was born and raised here in GP. Anyways, he's an engineer, and now he's kind of the guy that in between for the engineers here in Canada. And he relays that information to the engineers in Dubai, and they have to kind of figure it out and make things work on their end.
Right.
So kind of same thing as you, Kyle, is where he has to make things work between two different teams. Where like, yes, he's an engineer, and yes, he, you know, communicates things, but at the end of the day, he's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So, you know, I see a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, well, like with
there goes that.
the entertainment, you got some good people there. With the entertainment industry, it's kind of like with the executive side of things, what mostly happens is like the executive side is obviously the people handling money, and they're the people in charge of like budget, and you're you know, who you answer to is them because they're the bosses. But at the same time, they're not creatives, and they want to get their fingers in on the storytelling side of things like that, right? Like you.
So we got a penis in the way.
A penis?
Yeah, he's not even a big one.
Tell him his toque looks like a busted condom tip.
You look like a busted pilot. He got.
Hi.
Sorry about my friends. They're a little loose, eh?
That's all right.
They're missing you.
That'll happen.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like any other business, man. I mean, you've got people that you're trying to shield them from the higher ups putting their stamp of approval on it. They want to be creative too, and they want to come in there and put their fingers in there and be like, "Yeah, I thought of that. I did that. You know that change? I made that happen." Because they're in the position and they can't be creative, and they, you know what I mean. Hopefully, it's not like that when I work with any future like distributors or students like that. But it is the game. It is like what it is. Where I want to end up is being a director for film and stuff like that, live action. And so it's the same job. You're just trying to.
Real quick. So your kind of end goal is you want to be like a director. Is that where you're kind of directed?
Absolutely, yeah. Oh,
That's an amazing drink. You really just, and I really appreciate it. That's incredible, man, and it's so cool. Like we got to see your early comic books. You sent us a bunch of comic books, and they're so cool, man. Flipping through those things, like I gotta be honest, I'm not a comic book guy.
I forgot to put the mix in that drink.
Oh yeah, that's right in the back of the throat, like immediately.
Oh, you are your dad. On that note,
from where I'm sitting, boys, you guys are about an inch apart. That's so funny. No, you guys are freaking awesome. Yeah. No, I'm absolute son of a gun. Tickled pink that I get to ask these questions to you, Kyle. I mean, I've got all these questions. Like, yes, I'm not a comic book guy. Yes, I'm like, I did a little bit of animation in high school, but that was
nothing wrong with that, man.
Right? But there's so many questions that all of us have for you, man. Like, it's so we're so incredibly lucky to be able to ask you these questions and have this, amazing interview with you and shoot the shit and have a couple of drinks with you. I'd even have a shot with you, but probably not.
As long as it's accidental.
Have a little golf tournament. You know what? I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a drone and I can make some pretty sweet shots. Eh?
I just picked up golfing this year.
You know what you're do this coming summer is you're going to come to the Gigglin Guru special. The Gigglin Guru drop-in, I think, is what we should call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a little best ball tourney, little 2-team best ball tourney is what I'm thinking. Ewan, what do you think? Tell me if I'm out to lunch as I'm going. Interject anytime you like. But I think what we should do, we should have teams of 2, and we're gonna have best ball tourney, teams of 2. We're going to have this huge tourney. Everyone's going to do the thing. Everyone's going to be taking videos of their partner golfing with their cell phones. And I'm going to be flying my drone around and just getting some sick shots. And we're going to make one hell of a video. So
yeah, I'm down with that.
All right.
I think I got out 3 or 4 times this year for golfing.
Oh,
I never golfed.
That's for sure.
That's pretty decent, man. I was out a dozen times, and that was the best the most times I've ever golfed in my entire life.
Yeah, it's like, my brother Trevor, he was going like every day. You know what I mean? Like him and Terry, like our friend, like our childhood friend Terry. We were just we were all going out like all the time, man. Like they were going like every single day. They'd be going to the golf course and like, oh, what's up, bro? What are you doing? He's like, oh, just in the links. I'm like, oh shit, you didn't invite me, man. But yeah, I picked up golf this year, and I've been wanting to start golfing for a while now, and just started going this year, and I love it. I think it's great. I'm not very good at it just yet, But you know, like a couple of swings this year, I definitely felt like, okay, I'm starting to get there. I'm starting to hit the ball. I don't have any clubs of my own, so like you'd always have to like put together this Frankenstein kind of collection of clubs at the clubhouse and like just make do.
I'm pretty sure you know somebody who's working on that for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I know a guy.
Yeah. Well,
So does he.
well, Pops, with this month coming here, and like you know how much money I'm making this month, I want to put a certain amount of money just towards like some really good shit.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind like just taking a certain amount of budget and going golfing. It's like
You just tell me the budget you want, and I'll find something for you that's good.
I'm thinking like $6,000.
What?
Can you sing any song by Jumper?
What?
By Jumper.
I wish you would step back from that ledge. I don't know if you remember, he's fantastic, but that was sung early in the show.
Yeah.
We'll talk, son.
Yeah. No, I'm like realistically, I'm looking at like between 1,000 and 1,500.
Okay, no problem. We can get a nice set for you.
Yeah.
You know what?
You can even try them out before you buy them.
Yeah, but you know what I'm more excited to do is meet you. Welcome to the new age version of meeting people.
Yeah.
You make them your best friends, and then you just put them in your back pocket.
Oh, that's the way it goes for now, man. But I'll tell you this: they're going to be doing a Comic Con and GP in the summer. Wonderland Games.
And it's actually in GP, or it's in their pocket?
No, it'll be taking place in GP. And like they've got guests already arranged and everything, and I'm one of them. So I'll be up. I'll be up for the summer for sure. I'll be coming there for a specific.
Are you guys doing this?
There's some kind of hockey arena or some shit, or they do have a place already locked down. I can't remember what it was. I think it's like wherever they had like the gun show and stuff this year.
Yeah, Revolution Place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one. Your own gun show. You better.
All right, we should lock this down. I gotta go.
Yeah, you better lock those down. I hope you have licenses for them. Yep. Otherwise, you're gonna get wrecked.
They're registered weapons.
Yeah.
Mass destruction.
Oh, maybe mass destruction.
I just, Kyle, I want to thank you for coming, man. It's been a blast. It's been an hour and a half, and it's been a ton of fun.
Oh, really? Wow. Oh, shit.
Yeah. It's been a ton of fun. Trust you me.
These buggers that I'd be about I'm like, give me 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Time always blows by on these shows. Yeah, exactly. It's always a great time talking to you guys. Colton, we'll meet soon. Don't let the parameters of these little boxes fool you. We will break out of them and into the 3D realm soon enough.
I'm sure you know
and shit like that.
Outside of these little boxes.
We'll be bringing the gun show to you.
And hey, Colton, put that last one up.
Which one?
Leanne.
This one? Oh. Comment on our.
Put that last one up.
Do this again.
Did you read that, Kyle?
Thanks for coming out. I love you all. What a pleasure. And we'll check you later.
I'll be back.